Hello, and thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you being here, spending some time with me to talk about how to rocket ship your product career. I'm so happy, delighted, grateful, and humbled to be back with Product School on my second webinar. So a little bit about me. I am Andrew. I'm a product leader over at Zappos. Been leading product for digital customer experience, mobile, and other initiatives for the past 4 years now, and happy to provide my experience, my 2 cents, and things that I think will help accelerate your career that encompasses those years of experience at Zappos, but also years of experience elsewhere at companies leading product initiatives over at Capital One, AOL, and just delighted that you're here with me out of all the things that you could be doing otherwise. So thank you, very grateful. Let's get this show on the road. All right, so start with why. Even though that there's a 5-part framework you see through steps 1 through 5, I always want to start with why, and that's at 0. That should be a base foundation, a fundamental that you do as a product manager. But I want it as a product person, you need to be doing it for yourself too. You are the product, you are a product, and companies are investing in you in order to achieve the things that they find to be important. So we're going to go into why it's important to start with why before we bridge into the 5-part framework on how to accelerate and rocket ship your product career. So briefly about the 5-part framework, it's going to start around asking for help, being helpful, being tactical, being strategic, and ultimately being a leader. And all of these things, it's a balance as you traverse across your product career, understanding what you're looking for, where you want to be, what the destination is. That can vary throughout your product career. And within that, the balance of these 5 high-level aspects will vary, but they're all important. It's just how much time and attention do you spend on each? Where do you maximize your time? Where do you skill up? Okay, let's get going. Start with why. Jumping into Simon Sinek quote. We're huge fans of Simon over here at Zappos. I'm gonna just go off the quote verbatim here. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. And this is super important for us as product people. Could not agree more. When you're looking at yourself as the product, you have to be convincing. It's not the fact that you can be a product manager, that you can do product management, product ownership, product operations tasks. It's not just that. Sure, that's important. That's a given. It's really important that you're inspired to be a part of that company, a part of their mission, their vision, and the strategy, and fill the gaps in terms of tactical needs. It's important for you to line up into what that company, that opportunity is looking for. That's equally, if not more important than your actual skill set. So I'm going to expand on that a little bit here, particularly on the missionary versus mercenary line. Before I get there, fundamentals. First principles. First principles are important in anything that you do as a product manager, product person. You need to set a solid foundation on why teams should be doing the tasks, the user stories, etc., following a strategic narrative that you set out. Starting with why, setting the first principles to that, absolutely matters. Now, going back to you as an individual, it absolutely matters for you too. You, as a product person, if you're going the product management, product leadership route, you need to ask yourself what that looks like, what that means to you. You ask the definition of product management to 100 people, you get 100 different answers. That's going to be true for you as well. So it's important to understand what it means to you at a very fundamental level. There's so many sources out there, so many communities that you can go to help establish this. And this is something that you should do over time. Constant reality checks, constant realignment, rebalancing for yourself. So at least do this once a year. Revisit the books. Marty Kagan has amazing books, starting from the years ago when he created or authored a book, How to Create Products Customers Love, absolutely fundamental product Bible, if you would. It's even worth repeat visits. He has a second edition that is modernized. And he also has a new book around empowering product development teams. Couldn't agree more. That's how I like to do it, how we like to do it over at Zappos. It's quite effective. Um, Product School. Another shout out to Carlos and the family. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for setting up this event. Events like these, hopefully you find value in chats like this. There's plenty of other great instructors, I'm sure far beyond me, far better, that you can sign up for. Enjoy those free webinars. They throw fantastic events. They have certificates, they have classes taught by amazing instructors across amazing brands and product companies, organizations. Take advantage of that. Mind the product. Well, shout out to Martin, one of the earlier product communities established. Wonderful folks. Fantastic content and fantastic events as well. Product Manager HQ, shout out to Clement. Lots of wonderful original content that Clement and his community, they author quite often. It's worth taking a look at time of your day. Follow the community, join the community. They have a wonderful Slack community. Jump on in, be a reader. You don't have to contribute, at the very least. Just get a sense of what's happening in the community. Product Buds, big shout out to Product Buds, David and the crew there. Wonderful community. I wish I had things like Product School and Product Buds earlier in my career when I was starting out. And it's just been amazing to watch them grow and to help them grow as well. Wonderful events, awesome community of folks that are aspiring to be product managers, and things like getting into an associate or accelerated product management program. You'll find an emphasis on that. And again, just one of those early product career goals. If that's where you're at, Product Buzz is a fantastic place to be. Understand who you are, understand what your first principles are, and how you want to grow. It's going to be extremely important. Hopefully your first principles, if you have great self-awareness, it doesn't really change that much over time. However, you go back and amend it and what things mean to you. Hopefully you have a good grasp of what that looks like at a high level, and then you make it more granular over time. Okay, missionary versus mercenary. So reestablishing the point where, first off, no right or wrong way. I'm not going to judge you either which way, but my 2 cents, my advice is to be a missionary over a mercenary. Mercenary means you're going after the dollar. You're more motivated about the higher comp package versus what the company is all about, what that long-term vision is, what that mission is, and strategically how they aim to make it a reality. Why this matters so much into accelerating your product career? Well, when for my personal experience, hiring across multiple companies, that's what you look for. You look for mission-driven people that understand why the company exists, why it does what it does, and why that person is a great fit to join your team to strategically and tactically make it a reality. You want to do long-term investments in product people where they're well ingrained, they fall in love with the problem, can fall in love with the problem, if not already in love, and able to take you a lot further across years. That's what you're looking for. So missionary over mercenary. Specialist versus generalist. So specialist, you're basically a subject matter expert, and there's multiple levels to it. Are you business to consumer oriented? Are you business to business oriented? If so, are you B2C, mobile consumer, e-commerce specialist? Are you a business to business SaaS specialist that is really good with CRM? What is it that makes you a specialist, and how do you line that back up to the mission vision of the company, your first principles, and ultimately to the opportunity and your destination, your next destination in your product career? Some folks, some companies over-index on the specialist side, and perhaps that's a natural strength for you. You want to, as long as the fit is there, then that's great. There's absolutely no right or wrong to this path. Now, generalist. A generalist is somebody that can come in and take an objective or create an objective and be able to meaningfully move the needle towards that, if not beyond it. So no matter what it is, being a generalist, it gives certain product organizations the confidence that they can invest in you and say, hey, you know what, we're pretty agile. We're going to switch things around quite often, or maybe we'll rotate this product person onto different teams, and we need them to be flexible, agile, adaptable, and we need to have confidence that they're able to generate the outcome that we're looking for. No right or wrong. It's good to know who you are and why, and make it all align into your opportunities, and it's going to increase your chances to accelerate your product career. Okay, ask for help. This is the first part of the framework. I don't think this happens enough. Reality check for myself. I also do that with the folks that I coach and mentor. Asking for help, especially early on in your career, is one of the quickest way to accelerate your product career. I'm going to read that Steve Jobs quote because it's so good, and I'll give you the context behind it. So now I've actually always found something to be very true, which is most people don't get those experiences because they never ask. The context matters. The context was he called up the CEO of Hewlett Packard early on when he was just getting started in the field, and he was able to get parts for a project or really shoot the stuff with the Hewlett Packard. You know, that was the Apple at the time, and get some assistance, some guidance. This, I lean on this a lot because this is how I started. Reaching out to people, the execution matters. Being able to communicate effectively in order to get that help. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about the response that you'll get back. So if you're, the best advice that I can give you is do your homework, study the people around you, and see who resembles the closest product person that you want to become. Establish that relationship and ask for help. The worst thing that they can say is no, I don't have time right now, or hey, here's let's lighten it up and make it more optimistic. They may even say, hey, here's somebody that I recommend that you talk to, get a warm intro, and best case scenario, yeah, I would love to spend my time. You remind me of me. I'm paying it forward. That's what I personally like to do, and I'm so lucky that I had so many wonderful people to help me along my journey early on. So ask for help. Okay, so when you're asking for help, how do you maximize the time with the people that are providing that help? So 3-step process here. You want to learn the concepts, the fundamentals. You want to learn by example, and then you want to learn by doing. So always, I'm always learning the fundamentals myself. There's best practices that continue to evolve, jobs to be done, job stories versus user stories, etc. And you need to figure out, what works for you, what works well for your team. So always learn the fundamentals, always get better at your craft and understand the best practices. So conceptually, that's great. You can read a book, you can have those conversations. Learning by example, especially in the context of the company you're at or trying to break into, that's important. Make sure that you look for a leading example, ask great questions, and make the best use of the time with the person that you have the attention from. See if you can get a real live example of an effective product craft practice, and mold it in, maybe even use it as an exercise yourself to practice on your own. I know that was certainly worthwhile for me. And ultimately, learn by doing. As you do this, as you are effectively able to understand concepts, fundamentals articulated back, provide examples of, hey, here's how I would do it if I was in that position, maybe even help out. That's the bridge into learn by doing. As a product person, there's endless amounts of things that we need to do in order to have to be effective at our jobs. The tactical work, I think that's a great bridge for many people to break into product and learn the trade, is by doing some of the tactical work on behalf of their product lead. So the product lead can go off and do higher leverage, bigger thinking, 10x thinking, strategic thinking. If you can volunteer yourself in, or who knows, maybe they'll even be offered to you as a trial. Take advantage of the opportunity. Do it. Let's say if you're an engineer, I believe many folks in the product school audience, from my recent interactions, a lot of y'all are engineers, but even if you're designers, just really anybody a part of the product development team, this is completely possible. You learn the fundamentals, you learn the examples, and can provide some confidence with your product lead that you can do some of the tactical work. I'm sure they'd be delighted to share some of that workload with them. Get your feet wet. Volunteer yourself. You can do it. Okay, so once you ask for help, you're going to transition into and balance yourself into being helpful. Okay, so let's just say you bridge yourself into a product position, whether it's getting your feet wet, a hybrid role, or you're able to score a product position. The best piece of advice that I can give you, know your team and know how to help them. It's going to be a great way to accelerate your product career. Here's a quote from the great Gandhi. Here, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And at Zappos, it's super important. We have a servant leadership mental model and attitude around it. And being helpful for others is going to help you ultimately get the product the outcome that you need in order to accelerate your product career. Okay, so in being helpful, a few things to look at. You want to establish relationships, and you get in order to get that started, you want to start planting seeds. Okay, so understand who you need to sync up with in order to get the proper context that you need, and also to share the context that they might need, whoever you're syncing with, in order to enhance your chances of success towards the product outcome, the OKR, the goal that you have. Be genuine. Go beyond the work stuff. Make sure that you actually take time to learn the other people as humans, what drives them, what inspires them, what motivates them. Chances are you can cross-pollinate that into work at some point in time as a byproduct. Just getting to know your peers on the product development team, it's through and through worth it. Built that chemistry, built that trust, and doing a better job at work will just be a natural byproduct. Help without expectations. Any chance that you get, this is a fantastic way to build those relationships and also enhance your own chances of success later. Help without expectations. Okay, so if you're in a position, if you're building out your product roadmap and you're in the position to help somebody else, if it aligns with what your goals are, fantastic. That should be fairly easy. If it doesn't, this is where it gets trickier. Try to get creative, find ways that you could reduce the amount of burden or effort on your side and make it happen while staying true to the goal and objective that you have. This will play the long game here. Again, don't have any expectations. It's just a byproduct that you'll see. Chances are when you need a favor, you need some help, or if you're just really just sharing what you're up to, a lot of the times that I've seen in my career over the past 8+ years in product, you'll find people are more than willing to help you, whether you ask for it or not. So plant those seeds. Set up your team for success. Take every opportunity to celebrate the fantastic things that you guys are creating together, the products and features that you're building on behalf of customers. Really help them understand the impact of what they're doing. So we talked about why you do what you do. You share those fundamental product artifacts to help your teammates understand why they should do something. You're going to continue to do that. but what happens after, once you ship something, once you run an experiment, make sure that if there's success in it, you share every piece of that success, you highlight the right people, you amplify it, you evangelize it, not only within your product development team, but beyond it, your organization, as high as you can go, as high as you can influence. Build that championship team where you guys gel and you appreciate each other. And doing that, make sure that you provide the results, the data, the actionable insights to help them learn about the customer better and also help you. Make sure that you're leveraging your engineers, your product designers, etc. They're all we're figuring out what to do for the product. That should not just be a pure product person burden. That should be shared and democratized across the team. That's my perspective. You're going to go a lot further together than you could go on your own. So make sure that you encompass that and give them the opportunity to have skin in the game. That's going to set not only your team up for success, help them do a better job at the things that they're already asked to do, but it's going to help you as well. Conversely, if something goes awry, that's always on you. You're the product person. Make sure that you step up, be accountable, take that accountability for the team, broadcast that out, especially on the biggest fires. Be that person, and also, of course, be that person that helps fix that problem, find the root cause, and provide confidence to the stakeholders that, hey, we got it. Not only did we solve the problem, it's not going to happen again, but we made it better. This will build your reputation. Creating and maintaining alignment. This is one of the more helpful things that you can do beyond your team. So it's already going to be helpful just to help the team focus on the things that matter to the company. And this will be noticed. It's going to be noticed by your manager. It's going to be noticed by your manager's manager, and hopefully all the way through up the chain if you do it really well and communicate well. So alignment can happen top to bottom, bottom to top, and if you get really good at it, sideways. Sideways meaning oftentimes as a product person, especially as you mature in your product path, you're going to interface with a lot more teams that you're going to be reliant and dependent on. So being able to build that alignment and get that support, it's going to be a fantastic skill set for you to build on and accelerate your career with, especially that. Okay, so build alignment. Going into tactics, I want you to be tactical. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory, says the wise Sun Tzu, author of Art of War. This is exceptionally true. I think there's a yin and yang. There's this balance between strategy and tactics. They can't live without the other. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if your tactics don't match up, your probability of success diminishes. So be tactical, be a great tactician. That's going to help you accelerate your product career. Chances are that's where you're going to start, more so on the tactical work, and it's a shift of balance. Okay, so tell a good user story. And I put user in parentheses because there's just one of many product artifacts that you can create. There's job stories, there's other ways, press releases, Amazon Zappos, we like to do press release, frequently asked questions, PowerPoint decks, whatever it might be that resonates well with your audience, tell a good story around it. All right, so that's going to help you enhance the chances of success of the project that you're campaigning for, to a degree of, hey, why should I care about it? Okay, if you're able to convince your teammates to care about it to a high degree, they're going to want to work with you on those lower level details. So for me, a good story tells your product development team, like, hey, here's how it aligns with the rest of the business and things that we're tasked to do, the outcome that is expected from us. And here is why it makes sense for our team specifically. An adjacent team, it doesn't make sense for them. We're the right ones. We're the best positioned to take this on. We should feel proud about it. We should feel good about it. We should be excited. And when that occurs, when you build that strong foundation, what I find is the amount of chatter within that story, within that task. Pick your favorite tool, Jira, Basecamp, whatever. The chatter doubles up. It's the interaction heightens, and when you have that chatterness, when you have that kind of back and forth with your team, you get to build that story together. So you told the first chapter, and you're building out the rest of it as a team. When that occurs, it enhances your chance of success. They care about it. Their skin is in the game. They're having you think about things that will help you complete your full perspective and retell the story a second, third, fourth time in a way that elevates the experience and ultimately benefits the customer or the outcome that you're looking to achieve. And what that ultimately does, it builds your influence. Your ability to do that here with your team will also expand beyond your team to other teams and the folks above. Okay, design well thought experiments. So if you're A/B testing or multivariate testing out there, at this point, I believe we all should be. It may look different from company to company, what kind of risks that we're willing to take on, etc. Just understand what they are, understand those risks, how you mitigate them, what guardrails that you put in place, the kind of measurement that you place as well. Avoid the vanity metrics, understand what truly matters, and be able to look at it objectively and be able to share and articulate the results back out. Variations. I want to really key in on this. A/B testing, fantastic practice, and there's levels to it. Make sure that you take every opportunity within the balance of velocity and statistical significance to be able to test out multiple variations. Comes down to shots on goal. Oftentimes, I've seen in my career, it's about how many times you get to attempt to make the basket, score the goal. The variations are the shots, right? So you want to, if the traffic is there, if it meets your timeline to get the results that you need to be confident with, make sure that you're being very tactical in what kind of variations that you put in. It goes down in whatever level that you could think of. Copy the text that you put. Is it a please? Is it a thank you? Hey, here's what's in it for you. Hey, here's what's in it for others. Make sure that you hypothesize about it and take the time to learn off of every A/B test that you have. All right, so that's gonna, why I mentioned that is that the more hypotheses that you can validate, the more variations that you can learn from. And as long as you have the proper fundamental measurement in place and you can analyze it well, that's going to build your intuition. Product intuition matters so much, your product gut. This is how you build it. You need the experience, and you can accelerate that experience by increasing the amount of variations, the amount of experiments that you launch and you execute on. Okay. Make good use of existing leverage points. And what does leverage point mean? Management in general, you're operating from points of leverage. And points of leverage, that could be people, resources, it could be tools, it could be infrastructure in order to move the outcome that you're looking to achieve. So an example, let's just say, if you're a product manager, perhaps a point of leverage that you have is a product owner on your team. So that's going to give you more time on the strategic side, and you could co-author, play more so of like editor-in-chief on job stories, user stories, which they would own. So make sure that you're taking advantage of the leverage points that you have established to work towards the goals that you have within your career, and also to drive the outcome that ultimately is really tied to how quickly you can move up in your career. That's one example. Infrastructure example. Do you have a third-party tool? Do you have an internal tool? What are the things that you can use within your ecosystem to help you get the job done, to build a minimum lovable experience? Take the time to understand the whole landscape. There's chances are there's many existing leverage points within your position or the position that you can jump into. Understand them well, understand how to use them to drive results that matter. With that, you will become resourceful, and that's what you look for in a product person. Be strategic. Tactics without strategy is noise before defeat. Another Sun Tzu quote. In fact, they're actually coupled together. So one can't live without the other. You can have wonderful tactics. You can do so many things tactically well, very well executed. However, if it's not directionally where you need to go and where you need to be, it's just noise. And you need to go to where the strong signal has been provided by either yourself as an objective that you created, or an OKR, or something that was maybe handed to you more or less. Make sure that it's reaching the destination that it needs to reach. Strategy matters a heck of a lot, especially as you move up within your product career. So it's that balance that I'm talking about. All of these things matter. It's about how much time and attention you need to shift in order to maximize where you want to be. Okay, so 3 things to think about here. Exercise frameworks and mental models. You're going to pick these up as you become a tactician. There's going to be plenty of frameworks and mental models that you can apply to your situation. And within that, you build a library of them. And while you're doing the tactical work, being able to think through how a specific mental model or framework applies to your situation, and also work with others to understand the strategy. So perhaps maybe you're not leading the strategy, but you are contributing to it. Make sure as you're contributing, make sure you truly understand the why behind it, and why it's such, why the strategy is what it is in order to get the results that you need. And then you begin to marry the two, and it starts to compound. So you built that library of frameworks, mental models, and it's going to help you apply it in the right situation, and you'll come up with crafty combinations that's going to help you do a better job. You're going to be more effective as a product person. So next point, thinking in bets and probability. As you become more strategic, when you think about risk and how to mitigate that, that's one side of the spectrum. Being able to hedge your bets is another side. So one is about minimizing risk, minimizing downward effects, and the other is about maximizing upside, maximizing potential. Being able to think in both aspects is very important. And again, just compounding effects. So when you think in bets and probability, you're going to have a playbook that you can build up strategically to say, hey, this high potential upside, it's riskier, but how do I reduce that risk? How do I do things in a way that builds confidence and builds a level of safety for you to go off and do something riskier with higher upside, with a plan B, C, and D ready to go if things go south. Being able to think through that and enhance your probability of success, that's going to help accelerate your product career. You'll have more notches under your belt and successful projects, and it'll just add up in terms of the quantity and the quality of that impact. So we talked about identifying and using existing leverage points in the tactical segment. In the strategic segment, find the opportunity to create leverage points. So whereas in the other example, you're looking within your ecosystem, the infrastructure, the things that you can use, the tools that you can use in order to help you achieve your goal quicker, it's great. It's great tactically, but how can you go beyond that and create a brand new leverage point that nobody has used yet? Right? And this is a huge value add, being able to create something new as a source of growth that can lead to other people's outcomes, other people's goals, that's going to be vastly appreciated. The existing stuff, yeah, absolutely. If you do it in ways that are novel and creative and spread the word, that also helps. But it goes even further when you're able to establish something new to meet the needs of your goal that can also go far beyond it. So make sure that when you're crafting a strategy, that you take the opportunity to establish something new as a new point of leverage that not only is going to be beneficial to you, but beneficial to others. And that's when the more that others adopt it, the more that you evangelize it, the more that they evangelize it, it's going to help you accelerate your product career and rocket ship it. Okay, be a leader. This is the last segment of the framework. Going back into Simon, let's do this quote from the great Simon Sinek. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. I think this applies very well to any kind of leadership, especially product leadership. And this is the big leap that you make, say, from an associate product manager, product manager, senior product manager, to product leader. This is effectively scaling out the intangibles and scaling out inspiration, scaling out vision, scaling out leadership. That's what a leader does. That's something that's exceptionally high leverage and helps build alignment, efficiency, and effectiveness within the company. All right, so 3 things that will help shape you up to be that leader. Empowering your teammates. We talked a little bit about that around creating leverage points, being able, making sure that they're able to take advantage of that. Well, as you empower your teammates, as you share the success, as you share data, insights, etc., it's take every opportunity that you see within that to empower them, to help them be better at what they're asked to do, to be, say, an engineer could be a better engineer by looking more towards being a product engineer. A UX designer looking more towards at being a product designer, and so on. So the impact scales out where you can get them to the point where your product engineers and your product designers are empowering other teammates and helping other engineers become product engineers and other designers becoming product designers. Be that person that people can come to, where that's the start, and being able to watch it scale out, and being able to tell that story can help you accelerate your product career. At the very least, that even if you don't evangelize it out, I guarantee you that's something that won't go unnoticed. So be a good coach, be a good mentor, empower your teammates. Influencing others beyond your team. At this point, throughout the framework here, if you're doing tactics and strategy well, being helpful, asking for help, you're going to build that influence naturally within your product development team. And you're going to have a foot in the door across other rooms, higher level stakeholders, managers and managers. Build that influence well beyond your team at this point. So the culmination of everything that we talked about will allow you to do that. And you want to over-index your time here, because the same principle applies around you as an individual. You can only go so far by yourself. You'll go a lot further with your product development team. We talked about that. It scales up even further. Your product development team can only do so much on its own versus teaming up with another product development team, numerous amounts of product development teams, or teaming up with other executives above you, executive leaderships above them, so on and so forth. So there's levels to it. Being a product leader, you're able to craft those kind of partnerships, influence other teams, influence other leaders to work towards a common goal. This is what helps you make that giant leap from a senior product person to a product leader. All right, and lastly, define and drive outcome at work and life. Earlier on in other stages of various seniority, you're going to have a responsibility in helping maybe someone higher up achieve their goals, and something that may have been more so of a top-down, hey, this is what we need you to achieve. At this level, that may still occur, sure, but you want to tip the balance where you put yourself in a great position, given everything that you've known, all the experience that you've had, all the intuition that you've built up, all the understanding that you have within your market, your product, your team, your company, the positioning of the brand, the positioning of your product development team. All that will help you spot out opportunities for your company. What should you guys go after next? It can go beyond your team. If it's within your team, great. If it goes for another team, that's fine too. What's important is that you identify other opportunities, create other opportunities that the company isn't really thinking about yet. So if you're in a position to do that, articulate it well, be influential, and convince stakeholders, folks that could help invest and help fund the initiative, you're in a great position to accelerate your career, take on additional responsibilities, and grow beyond and accelerate your product career. It'll help you get on, take that rocket ship even further. And here's one more concept that I think is super important. As you're doing this in your professional life, hopefully throughout the other stages, you're going to think about how to incorporate it, integrate it, and harmonize it within your life. The beautiful thing about product, and you'll learn more and more as you progress, is how well it folds into any other aspect in life. The mental models, the frameworks, you can apply it anywhere. The way that I coach youth basketball folds in a lot of those practices and product practices. The way that I set out a mission and vision to the team, the way that I understand the strengths and capabilities of each player on the team, the way that it gels together on the court, the way that we do strategy and tactics to win ball games, the way that I understand individuals in order for us to not only perform well on the court, make improvements as an individual, but also as a team, and also have fun while we're doing it. So it goes well beyond into life. And if you're able to harmonize your profession and your life, have that alignment, that's the ultimate. That's where you want to be, and that's going to accelerate you so you can make improvements every day, nonstop. Like, you're always on. If you get to that point, then it's going to enhance your chances of being that product leader, accelerating your product career even further, staying on the rocket ship and going beyond the moon, going to Mars, and etc. So make sure that you go for work-life harmony. You'll be pleasantly surprised on how well it works. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you spending some time with me. Shout out again to Product School. Thank you for having me back. Always a pleasure. Love you guys. Feel free to reach out. LinkedIn, Twitter, I'm here for you. Ask for help. I'm here. All right. Take care, y'all.